Okay. Person gets shot, Your Honor. You know how he got angry, he shot his wife. Putting on 200,000, he walks. Okay? Just some of the real situations that have happened over the years in this country. You know, in this country. So anyway, that's what it's about. So, plot. Yeah, what you do is you decide the direction you want your writing to go in. What are you trying to say? What do you want your reader to hear? And one of the things that I make sure I do when I go back, especially now, what I do is when I decide I want to write, I do an outline. What do I want to start with? How I want it to end? And then I decide what I want in the middle, you know, how I want to do this, how many, you know, what the chapters I want in the middle. And then when I go back and I rewrite, I want to make sure that the reader is seeing, is hearing, is smelling. I use the senses. I want my reader to be able to say, I'm there. I'm there, what's happening? I'm right there. I see it, I hear it, I smell it, whatever. In fact, I just got off the computer before I came down here with my next book, which was called Black River. Again, it's something that I've always been interested in. I was an administrator in an area, upstate New York, a very rural area. And every day I came in contact with people, with kids, with families, you know, and many of them had Irish names. And I'm wondering to myself, well, why so damn many Irishmen up in this part of the world? Well, I found out in my research doing the Black River. The Irish were brought over here to work on the canals.
At Erie Birch Canal.
Yeah. When they came in, they worked on the Erie Canal, and then when they built the Black River Canal, they worked on the Black River Canal. And they built their shanty towns along the Black River and along the canal systems. And when the work stopped, all they did is they took their shanty towns and moved them into the various communities where they were. And a lot of the families that I dealt with, and the names that I'm going, holy Moses, these people have been here since 1794. Yeah. Their families have been up in that area that long. I'm just impressed, you know, that they're still doing the same things that their great-great-great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers were doing. So anyway, the next book, as I indicated to James, it's about ready. But when I go back and I read it, I ended up changing some things, you know. Sometimes when I write about romance, the romantic part of the book, when boy meets girl and girl, you know, loves boy and all that, when they hug and kiss and, you know, sometimes I look at it the second or third time and I say, you know, that's a little harsh. I've got to smooth that out a little bit. Let it flow. Let it be a little more gentle in how this whole thing is approached. So, you know, I have to do some of that. But anyway, that's plot. And whatever you're writing, you know, you've got to try to think, who's going to be my audience? Who's going to want to read these things? And so I try to put something in the book for everybody. I want to put something in the book that women can relate to, that men can relate to. It has to be. In fact, this first book, there's a whole other story about this. You'll see this book says David Abraham and T.J. Loveridge. T.J. Loveridge was a young lady, bright kid, graduated from my school, tops of her class, went to the University of Rochester, graduated there, valedictorian of her class there, got a job with Random House as an editor, got married, went on the pill because she didn't want to have children right away. They wanted to get their lives, their financial life in order before they started having a family. The doctor that put her on the pill didn't take a look at her history. She had a history of clotting. 3 weeks after getting on the pill, she had a massive stroke. Her husband said, I can't put up with this. He left her. She lost her husband, her house, her car, her dog, and her job, and her mother had to bring her back up to South Louis, or up into Port Lyman, one of the places that I talk about, and one of the places that was in the school district. And I happened to run into her mother, and you know, we got talking, and I talked about, I just finished the book called My Father's Seed. And she said to me, you finally wrote that, did I? I said, yeah, I had to, you know. And so I said, how's Tracy doing? And she started crying. I said, what's the matter? And she told me about Tracy, and how Tracy was on a suicide watch because she wanted to end her life. And she said, I wish I could get her interested in something. So I said, here, gave her my book, and I said, have her read this. Tell her I'd like her to edit it for me. Well, she did. She all of a sudden got interested in something. And when I talked with her, she said, Mr. Abraham, no matter how old she got, she ought Mr. Abraham, it's a great book, but it's very, very masculine. You need a woman's point of view. So I said, well, I'll tell you what, Tracy. You write what you think needs to be in this book, and I'll put it out, David Abraham and Tracy Loveridge. And that's what I did.
No, well, that was nice.
She, after that, got her life in order. She met a guy online and got married. She called me and said, I have a favor to ask. I said, well, you know, sure, Tracy, what's going on? She said, I'd like you to give me away.
Oh.
Because there was no father